Hi, Michelle Palmer here with you, and we are going to take our blanket roll in this kidney series, and we're going to use it to help us find and sense the space of the kidneys. So I'm going to take my blanket that's folded in a nice rectangle, and I'm going to roll it into what I call a Tootsie Roll, but also it's like a roulade dessert. So it's just a nice little roll. And this blanket is a has enough structure to it that's going to support my pelvis. So I'm going to roll over to my backside and then lift my pelvis up onto the blanket. So I'm going to have you do the same thing. The trick is the movements in and out of the work that we're doing, the transitions. So in the transitions, it's being mindful also of how you're moving. So as you find your way into this position, see if you can do it in the most spiral kind of way with the least amount of exertion. And the movement should feel quite delicious once you make it to the ground. So allow the earth to begin to cradle you, which requires a certain level of trust and a certain level of awareness of just releasing and allowing the body to completely soften. In a way, it's also giving the heart permission to also soften into the earth. Although the heart readily and willingly floats on the breath, it can still contain a quality of groundedness. The heart loves to fly. And so having the heart feeling its capacity to rest into the earth will also help soften the space of the kidneys. The blanket is placed in the center of the sacrum and pelvis. If you have the blanket up too high, it's going to arch your back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's just not what we're doing right now in this moment with this practice. So move it back down to the center of your sacrum. And you can even scoot yourself up a little bit so that it helps to curl and round the pelvis. I like to think of the belly as this beautiful mountain reservoir, and the legs are like waterfalls that are streaming and dumping all of its water into the belly. And then as we shift the position of the pelvis, it allows the water to begin to pool down by the space of the kidneys. So this practice here is just learning to feel the kidneys with some feedback of a blanket that helps to hammock your lower back. Take both of your hands and place them on the lower part of the ribs on either side of the navel. This is sort of the front hand position to where the kidneys are in the back of the body. And as you have your hands in this position, there is, in fact, a tendency to try to bring the breath into the hands, into the front of the body. But let's let your hands be there resting and bring your awareness into the back space of the body. So you begin to feel the kidneys floating on the breath. And if you need to find your best position, feel free to do that. Your feet are more than hip width distance apart, just to allow more space. And the kidneys in this position should be really kissing the earth. The earth itself has this great capacity to really nourish the kidney yin, that soft, feminine, receptive side of the kidneys that helps to balance that willpower of going out into the world. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the pubic bone a little bit further towards the ribs. And in doing so, it spreads the kidneys along the back and then release. And again, pubic bone towards the ribs and release. And we're going to just explore circling around one kidney. And in a way, what you're also doing is you're circling around your feet. You're gently circling the knees. You're allowing your ribs to be loose and soft as you use the movement of the pelvis and the pressure of your feet on the earth to very gently circle around the space of the right kidney. We're going to take the same right kidney and you're going to reverse the directions. We're not doing a lot of arching in the back. If anything, we're just coming back to neutral as we explore the upper edge of the kidneys, that which is closest to the ribs. And then pause. And breathe. And as you breathe, notice if that kidney has more quality of being a lot more alive or more awake. It might feel like it heavies down to the floor more. And then we're going to do the same thing with the left side. So shift your weight slightly over towards the left and then gently circle. It's a small circling using your feet and your pelvis to create a tracing of the left kidney. And the smaller the movement, the more intimate you become with the space of the kidney. And then switch directions. And then come back to center. Hands rest on the lower ribs as a reminder to release the heart and let these ribs soften down towards the earth to create a hammocking, a softening of the kidneys into the space of the earth. And as the breath begins to soften, you may even notice that the kidneys too themselves have more of a capacity to drop back and to let down. We're going to do one more thing. I'm going to have us circle or draw sort of a rectangle around the space of the kidneys. So it's a gentle circling of the pelvis, the knees, and circling around the feet that allow you to trace around it's like an oval around the kidneys. And maybe even slow it down. It's in some ways the upper side of the kidneys closest towards the heart that can feel the most interesting and the most accessible. So you can swing from one side over to the other, almost like one of those rides at a carnival. That'll get the adrenaline going. But much gentler. It's like a wave that rises up on the side of a circular bowl and then back down and up along the circular side of the other bowl. So it's just a painting across from one side to the other, very smooth. Allowing your head to go along as the ribs and the sternum also remain soft in this movement. And then release, soften, and then you can very gently and easily remove the roll underneath you and allow your pelvis via your kidneys. So your kidneys are going to slowly roll down. The ribs, the lower ribs, reach sort of down towards your pubic bone as the rest of the spine follows, and then finally your sacrum, allowing your body to resume into its natural, normal curvature. And from here, monitor, feel, sense, explore the breath. We could even take this movement side to side. Maybe I'll do this in the next video. And lower your legs. And allow your whole body to ground down even more, especially the area of the kidneys. The heart continues to stay soft and grounded, even though it has this quality of buoyancy and its capacity to float on the rhythm of the breath. And that is a nice small practice to explore on your own, the kidneys.